Welcome, brave new listeners, to another episode of Booze and Chill Buzzcast podcast. Tonight, we're going to be exploring some true encounter stories sent by you, the audience, you, the followers. True encounter stories that defy explanation. So if you're ready, lock your doors, turn down the lights, and prepare for tales that might just keep you up at night. Let's begin, shall we?
Do not open the door for anyone, even if it looks like a normal human being.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Booze and Chill Buzzcast podcast. As you can probably tell in the video podcast, things are looking just a little bit dim here in the Booze and Chill studio, or as we know as the High Ground studio. So today's, like I said, a very special episode, and the reason why it's so dim is because today we're going to be reading true encounter stories sent by you, the audience, you, the followers, you, the subs. I got to take an opportunity here to thank everybody who actually took the time, wrote these stories down, and sent them in. All the stories that are going to be read today, they're going to be featured today, are all written, and they're all going to be read by my wife. So we're going to be featuring her. She's going to be reading all the stories. She threw in one in there as well. And I'm going to start off by saying one of my stories. I'm going to be telling you guys 3 of my stories. And there's about 8 stories in total. So I'm psyched up for this episode. It's nice and packed with really good stories, spooky stories. And we arranged them we just arranged them. We arranged them and we gave them little names. And yeah, this one's going to be pretty good, guys. And a little short excuse me, message before we get this started. If you do, guys, end up enjoying this episode, which I'm pretty sure you will, please keep sending in your scary stories. If we can get enough to fill up an entire episode, which that would be super great. Or if we could just get enough for like a little segment here and there, we can also work that too. But if you guys keep sending them in and enough to fill up an entire episode to do another one of these, that would be pretty cool. And all the information is right down here, guys. Send it to Booze and Chill 2020 at outlook.com. Send them in via text, audio, and or video. Like I said, today are all going to be text, and they're all going to be read by my wife. And I think that's really all I got for you guys today. I'm psyched for this, and let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the first story. And the first story today will be mine. Reason is because mine is not exactly. I'm gonna throw in like 3 stories in there. This first one is pretty lame. Thought I'd start off with a lame one, and then we're gonna get into the really juicy stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna start off with mine. So my story starts off when I was around maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, around that ballpark. And we would wake up early in the mornings to go and visit my father, because he was doing some time back in the day. So we would go visit him. We would have to drive like about, I'd say maybe like about an hour to go visit him. So we had to wake up early on the weekends. So it's like going to school and then on the weekends wake up early to go visit him. And it's my mother, myself, and my youngest sister. My mother would get dressed, and then once she would get dressed, she would get my sister dressed. So naturally, I would be the first one to be ready. So I was just kind of like there, just waiting or doing whatever. And one of those mornings, I just thought like, oh, I'm just gonna get something to drink, some OJ or something. That at this point in time, the like literally the time it's pretty early. Like the sun is not even out early. And to get to the kitchen, we had to walk through the living room, the dining room, and then the kitchen. It's a long, not a long walk, but I mean it's pretty far from where all the bedrooms were, right? And so I go walk towards the kitchen, right? I put my hand on the on the not the kitchen handle, on the fridge handle, and I just hear like this shaking, like this violent shaking, right? Silverware is what I'm hearing, and my hand's still on the fridge handle. I'm just looking, scanning, and then boom, I see what it is. It's the drawer filled with spoons, forks, and knives. Knives, guys. The so because my brain captivated, like, oh, there's knives in there. Me still holding on to the fridge handle, I'm staring at this drawer violently shaking, and I'm just like, a no, and just walk right back towards like where my mother and my sister were. And of course, I had to go back at some point because we're still getting ready, and then we had to walk to the other side of the house, to get drinks and snacks for the road or whatever. So the entire time that we're there, I'm just staring at the damn thing. I even told my mother like what happened, but she's whatever. She's not thinking about anything except you know getting on the road, right? And that's pretty much all that really happened. But I've tried to break down exactly what could have been the reason, right? And it only came down to two things. One, something paranormal was actually happening. Two, there could have been a pretty serious rat problem that I was not aware about. I wasn't sure. I can't be. I'm not. I can't. I'll never find out because I never actually. Eventually we did have to open the damn drawer, right? Because we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you know, I try to think about what could it have been, and I'm just like, guess we'll never know, man. We'll never know. But the only reason why that freaked me out is because again, my brain was like, bro, there's knives in there. The drawer's moving. You can't see what's shaking it. So I think you better get the fuck out of there. So my natural reaction was just to walk the opposite direction. And in case you're wondering, I never got that drink till after uh my mother and my sister was ready to actually leave. So that's the first story to kind of warm up this very special episode of True Encounter Stories from you guys. Thirsty for something new? Welcome to the Booze and Chill channel, where every sip is, you can say, an adventure. From craft beers to cocktails that'll blow your mind, I've got the lowdown on the best drinks around. But if it's not just about the drinks, I also dive into movie trailer breakdowns, as well as music video breakdowns, and every now and again I do throw in some mouth-watering food reviews. So if you're ready to mix up your entertainment, hit that subscribe button and let's cheers to some good times. Now let's get back into today's podcast. Now let's move on to today's first story. Today's first story, this one was sent anonymously. This one, there's a lot of anonymous stories actually, by the way, guys. So this one was sent anonymously, and my wife, by we, I mean my wife and I, we titled this one Out of Body. So if you ever had one of those situations, whether you're dreaming or you're awake, I know I've heard some stories where people are like awake and still have the capability of leaving their body. This is for those people. I've never had any of these experiences myself before. Um, but I mean, let's find out exactly what it is that we are see what we're dealing with here. So I'm gonna give this one to to the wife here, and she will read you the story, and then we'll find out. We'll find out what it is.
On several occasions, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, get up, and when I turn around, I'd see myself still in bed sleeping. Every time that would happen, I'd freak out so bad I'd lay back down in my body and just try to go back to sleep. One day, I decided to venture out to see what would happen if I left my room. I went up to the doorknob, took one last look at my body, still lying in bed, and turned the knob. I peeked my head, and I was still at my house, but there were so many people there. The minute they saw me, everyone froze and stared at me. Within seconds, someone appeared in front of me and with one hand lifted me by the neck and started choking me. I can still see the face clearly in my head. The only way to describe him was that he looked like Uncle Sam. After kicking and trying to free myself, I suddenly got pulled back into my body and woke up choking and coughing with the sensation of the hand still on my neck. I never tried to leave my body again, and although it hasn't happened in a long time, I don't plan to do that ever again. That's also the reason I hate the Insidious movies so much.
Well, that's some freaky stuff. Don't y'all know? Um, I'm trying to think of something that might kind of be an explanation. I mean, being choked in your sleep. I mean, there's been stories where people who like uh who vomit, who choke on their vomit in their sleep, and I guess maybe that makes gives them the because they're still like in a dream state, and that's probably what's happening, or like they're sleeping in such a way where it's like completely blocking their breathing, stuff like that that can probably cause somebody who is like in a state of dreaming to think like, oh, there's something on top of me and stuff like that. That's first thing that comes to mind when I'm trying to like think of this, like give this an actual explanation. But if you look at it in the way where she mentioned in the last part, the Insidious movies, then I'm just like, I don't know what to say about that. Like, my wife actually has had, uh, she used to suffer from what's the term, the thing where you sleep paralysis. She used to suffer through that. So I would see it for myself, not what she would see, right? But yeah, there's been some situations where she actually like got up and stuff like that. But as far as being in those people's shoes, I mean, I can't really say. I can't say. I've never been. I've never been. Do I want to? Some of you out there are probably thinking like you don't want to go there, right? You don't want to do that, man. So, I mean, again, she mentioned the cities. I like the movies. I like the movies. I love horrors, but to actually again experience it, oof, that is nuts. That is nuts. So leave your comments right down there in the comment section if you guys what you guys think about this story. If you might actually have experienced something like this, or you know somebody like I do who has experienced this before, share your stories in the comment section. Maybe that could be a way to actually uh, make another episode like this. By watching this will maybe probably trigger something in your brain and actually like help you remember stuff. Or anybody out there who's watching and or listening to this, um, don't be afraid to reach out on the video podcast, of course. I will put the links to the video podcast in Spotify. And I think that's it for that. I mean, it's freaking. Never been, never done it, never tried it. And again, some of you are probably thinking like, man, you don't want to even go there. Don't even go there. So, all right, let's move on to, well, in this case, story number three. I started off with mine. Story number three. We actually titled it "The Imaginary Friend." Again, anonymous caller, anonymous sender, and this one. Well, I mean, the title itself, like an imaginary friend, you can probably already sort of tell where it's gonna go, or maybe not. Um, so, I mean, the title itself, like, I think there's even just a movie that just came out about imaginary friends. Um, just imagine you, just a scenario, you and your kid just doing, playing or whatever, just hanging out, and then bringing up that they have an imaginary friend, and imagine them explaining to you this imaginary friend, and it's like, doesn't sound very, something that a kid could like warp up in their brain, right? And then you actually seeing this damn thing, and you're like, nope, nope, that is what I'm thinking. That, well, this is kind of how this story is going to go about. So I'm going to once again give this one to the wife. And this one, once again, is the imaginary friend, as we called it.
My niece had an imaginary friend when she was little. She'd ask us to do her hair in braids because her friend wore braids. Occasionally, she'd ask us for bandages because her friend had ouchies on her face. No one really took the imaginary friend too seriously, but one day, around the holidays, my older brother, who had no idea about the imaginary friend, told us he saw something weird behind the Christmas tree. He described it as a little girl wearing braids with what looked like burns on her face. We freaked out a little bit, but when my niece spoke of her imaginary friend, it was never anything negative, so we just let it be. One day, I was telling my boyfriend and a friend about it, and I jokingly said, "Well, let's see," while holding both my arms out. If it's a boy spirit, hold my left arm. If it's a girl, hold my right. Seconds after, my right arm felt cold, and all three of us could see it. What looked like a little hand holding on to me started to appear. Then, someone knocked really loud on the front door. We got up to check, but nobody was there. My niece eventually stopped mentioning her imaginary friend, and she never popped out again with any of the other kids.
My question to the last part of the story is, where did she end up going? Like, how do you just make an imaginary friend just go away, just disappear? Or how do you go about that? And well, if you've seen the recent Insidious Inside Out movie, you have a pretty good idea, and it's a very, very sad way to go. But I'm not sure if that was the case for this, because it just happened kind of, well, there was no time frame between from where they the little girl stopped seeing them, or it. So there's that. Uh, the bangings on the door, I mean, could have been the wind, could have been someone trying to pulling a prank. The arm bruising or squeezing. I mean, the closest I can think of to that is like this medical condition. I can't remember the name of it right now, where basically the skin is easily bruises, where you don't even need to just like where you don't even need to get accidentally hit or self-caused or anything like that. It's sensitive skin. It just like does these things were like bruises, and sometimes in rare occasions it looks like, you know, bruised handprints of some sort. But and looking at it in the other direction, you are I mean, that's weird because how they specifically ask boy, girl, and they squeeze the girl after the little girl describes that the imaginary friend is, in fact, a little girl. And I mean, that's just nuts. That is just like, that is probably um, the creepiest. What do they call it? Reveal party. Is that what they're called when they're when it the reveal parties when they're reveal if it's a boy or girl. Now imagine that. That is scary. That is scary shit. um, but I mean, let me know in the comment box in the video podcast. What do you guys think about this one? Did you guys have an imaginary friend? Do your kids have an imaginary friend? And if so, get the fuck out. It's like, I don't know. Talk to your kids, man. Talk to your kids. If your kids are telling you that they have an imaginary friend and they explain the imaginary friend to you and it doesn't fly with you, then you might want to look into that shit, you know? But that is story number what was it? Story number tres. Let's move on to the next story here. This one also anonymously. We titled this one "Children." Kind of similar to what we just talked about, but it deals around a bit of a sensitive subject, and I believe the anonymous sender even explains that. He gives off a good explanation as to why these things were happening to him. So, once again, I'm gonna throw this off to the wife. Let's go.
When I was a kid, my sister was diagnosed with cancer. So much creepy stuff would happen around the house. I never saw anything, but my siblings, my mom, and friends of my parents saw or experienced something paranormal. These small children started to appear around the house. One time, my mom caught my sister talking to them under her bed. Another time, my brother saw them playing with my mom's makeup on her dresser. So many things like this happened while my sister was sick. I believe we were emotionally and spiritually vulnerable as a family, and that's why these things started to haunt us.
So, there are, well, there's beliefs, but I've also seen this. I'm a horror guy, and I've seen so many horror movies, so many of them. And you tend to take away a couple of things when you do watch some horror movies. Besides like the hauntings and the killings and whatnot. I mean, stuff that kind of like leads you to just be a little cautious when it comes to certain things, right? And just like in the anonymous sender here mentions that they were going through some stuff, and it just kind of brings down the mood. And again, through my experiences of watching all these horror movies, it just it leaves you so vulnerable to the point that it just, I guess we can say, almost open doors, if that makes any sense. Spiritual wise, the more vulnerable you are, the more um the easier you are to target for our all what is going on for all these unwanted or unnecessary entities to feed off that those feelings, I mean, that you go through. Which, by the way, to the anonymous sender, hope I hope your family's doing well. I hope your sister's doing well. Um, and yeah, hope you guys are doing fine. Thank you once again for sending this piece of personal story. Uh, I know it was I know it was mentioned that it was personal, and I I give you a pat on the back for having the courage to send that in, guys, or person, guys. Uh, but yeah, le- as far as that way goes, I mean, I got nothing for the the uh the children that they were seeing around the house. I mean, actually, I just remember one where we had a little boy that would follow us around the house that was actually brought in. Maybe for the next one. Keep sending them in, guys, and maybe I'll tell that one. See what I mean? Just opened up a something else in here. And that's really all I got for that one. I mean, how do you explain, you know, other children just popping up that you don't know? I mean, you I got nothing for that one. So I'm gonna leave this one off to you guys, the viewers, you guys, the listeners. What do you guys think about this one? What good explanation do you have, and or if there is something a little bit more spooky that is happening here? Again, I'm trying to be biased and kind of trying to figure out both sides of the stories. Just keeping things a lot more interesting. And I mean, that's really all I got. I'm gonna leave this one up to you guys. Leave it in the comments section. What do you guys think of story number 4? The one that we titled Children. I will leave it up to you guys. And now let's move on to story number 5. And this one we titled Hooded People. This one is, I mean, this one is pretty messed up as well. We're reaching more freaky stories. The deeper we go, the freakier the stories get. And guess I mean, it's not the hooded people that you're probably thinking of either. I'm talking like just hooded people that are just not physically there. So I'm just gonna throw this one to the wife, and I'm gonna let you guys decide what you guys think about this one. Let's go.
Not sure if this qualifies as a story, but something that happened almost daily to me when I was younger was waking up in the middle of the night and seeing hooded people all around my bed. I'd close my eyes and blindly run to my parents' room. After years of doing it, I already knew the path very well. I never told my mom what I saw. I'd just go and lay next to her. When I got older, after it stopped happening, I finally explained to her what exactly I saw. She says when I was smaller, I used to tell her it was dinosaurs, and then it changed to monsters. And eventually, I just stopped telling her, and she'd just wake up with me lying next to her. I don't know why it would happen. I don't know why or when it stopped, but I'm just glad it did.
Uh, the only thing that I can think of as far as like trying to explain it, I mean, just regular old nightmares, really. I mean, but seeing hooded people, I love the fact that they describe them as dinosaurs. I don't know what would be scarier, seeing a velociraptor, a shadow, a silhouette of a velociraptor, or a hooded person. I don't know what would be worse, to be quite honest with you, but still, that's messed up, man. That's messed up. I can't think of a good explanation other than, I mean, you just had a nightmare, but they woke up from it and complete, just petrified, and still seeing them somewhat awake. That's messed up. That's pretty messed up. So once again, I'm gonna leave this up to you, the viewers and or listeners. What do you guys think of this one? Um, you experienced something similar? Do you know anybody who has experienced something like this? Leave it in the comment section right down below. Again, maybe this will keep this idea going so we can keep making more spooky story episodes from you guys for the upcoming podcast. Again, October is not very long, so the quicker you guys send these, the faster we can fill up for another one of these episodes. And let's move right on, shall we? Let's move on to number, what was it? 6. And we called this one Talking Doll. Um I mean, I'm not talking about the Toy Stories. I'm not talking about maybe Chucky, maybe Puppet Master. that that kind of talking doll stories. I mean, talking to moving talking doll things has been a thing in Hollywood for such a long time. Chucky being one of the all-time top ones. As you can probably see in the video podcast, he's actually right behind me. It's a miniature version of him from Bride of Chucky, but still, it's pretty. I mean, I got all kinds of dolls all behind me. Just imagine one of these fuckers just kind of moving all of a sudden as we're talking this, uh, explaining these stories. Yeesh. So it's pretty self-explanatory, this one. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mothers has had some experience, have a story of a doll that just freaked them out so bad, and or something a lot more sinister. So let's move on to the story itself. Take it away, Barbie.
When I was a kid, my parents bought me a doll that would repeat everything you'd say. I played with that doll so much, even my brother sometimes would grab the doll and have her repeat something dumb like, I farted, and we'd crack up. One day, she suddenly stopped working, so we gave her to my mom and went off to watch TV. Not long after, we saw the doll sitting in my room, so we started talking, saying all sorts of things, and still, nothing. Then one of us, I'm not sure which one, jokingly said, I'm gonna kill you. And out of the blue, the doll repeated, I'm gonna kill you. We jumped out of the bed, not scared, but excited. She worked. We ran to my mom, telling her the doll was working again, and she looked at us horrified while holding something in her hand and said, That's impossible. I have the voice box right here. The three of us freaked out. My mom quickly grabbed the doll and ran outside. We followed and watched her throw it in the garbage bin. I never saw that doll again, but my God, did I have some awful nightmares.
I'm not sure if I've been mentioning, but most of these have all been anonymous. Mine is the first one that was mine. This one also included, not mine, but anonymous. So this one was kind of straight out of the first Chucky movie, and I know because I just recently saw it. The scene where Andy's mom, after they took Andy to question after the death of the mom's friend, she takes the doll home and tries to make the doll talk, right? And opens up the back where the batteries go. See, there's no batteries. Chucky's head turns around. and I believe the line was, "I like to be hugged," but yells it out. It doesn't say normally like he does. That's what this story reminded me of, especially the part where they're the sender's mother tells them I'm not tells them that she has the voice box. That part is like, I actually just got a little bit of chills, not gonna lie to you, just now, right up to here. I didn't get them fully, but I got a little bit. But that, yeah, that one's weird. That one's weird. And explanation for this one, I mean, if it had a voice box, so it has some electrical little tinkering in it, there could be some sort of malfunction of some sort. I mean, but in order for it to make any noise, it needs the voice box. So it's like, dang, son. This one was good. This one was good. And damn. um I'm gonna let you guys do this one. I'm gonna let you guys do this one. Let me know in the video podcast section in the comments. What do y'all think about this one? The talking doll. I mean, like I said, something about just freaky dolls that just crawls on everybody's skin. I mean, I don't know which one's worse. It's whether dolls or clowns. Leave it in the comment section. What is worse? Scary dolls or scary clowns? Let me know which one is worse. And now we're going to move right on. I think after this one, I think I'll give my second story. My last story, in fact, the last story is not technically mine. I was just around for it. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. Once again, actually, no, this one's not anonymous. This one was actually sent by my good friend and good follower, subscriber of the podcast / channel. This one's coming from Cassandra Gonzalez, and me and the wife titled this one "Doll / Voices," and this one also having there's a reason why we put the talking doll and this one right next to each other. It has to do with dolls and voices. Now, this story I'm familiar with, and it's a little weird. It's also quite possibly a little rude, and you guys will find out right after the wife reads the story. Let's go.
So, my parents' house is an active place. It was even checked by a paranormal investigator. Messed up. Anywho, I have many stories, but I'll go with 2 incidents, which was our first encounter my sister and I had at that house. So, back in '98, my sister and I had a lot of fun recording ourselves singing using a tape recorder. One night, my sister and I recorded ourselves singing a song from Britney Spears. I don't remember which one, while one of her friends stepped out to grab a cup of milk and cookies my mom had just baked. By the time she came back, we had just finished recording. We were all excited to hear ourselves sing, and as the tape was playing, our recording got quiet and a man's voice came up. Obviously, he was annoyed, and with a loud whisper, he told us to shut up. My sister and I sat there, jaw dropped, and our friend spit out her milk. Our singing came back on, and as it kept going, it stopped again. But this time, one of my brother's toys, a Woody doll with a pull string on it, played on the tape. "Howdy, partner." We freaked out and ran out of the room and screamed for our mom. My sister now owns the house and continues to have paranormal stuff happening, but she ignores it now. As for me, because of that doll in the recording, all toys are locked in my kids' playroom, and I obviously stopped recording myself sing.
So apparently, in this story, we got the real life Woody. We got the real life Woody, man. My friend Cassandra had an encounter with Woody, and into karaoke. She's into karaoke. And as far as I'm trying to think of an explanation. I mean, the voice in the voice recorder, which by the way, she actually sent a picture. I'll pull it up right about here. This is the type of tape recorder that we're talking about. And the thing about these tape recorders is that they're just as sensitive as like the recordings on phones. You you would be able to pick up certain things that we wouldn't be able to hear. Hence why we got that really rude voice telling her to shut up. It could have been caught from like another section of the house and whatnot. Um, the talking Woody doll. I mean, if it was intact, it could have been some sort of malfunction from the pull string or something in the voice box, something like that. But in the other hand, I mean, they could have caught something on that tape recorder, both a man's voice, which was not present in the room with them, with her and her friend, and the Woody doll. I mean, if they were all they were over here playing American's top singer or whatever that show's called. What was this doll over here? This Woody doll on this other side talking all by himself. These are all the questions. These are all the questions. And I mean, that's really all I got for that one. I mean, there's nobody else with them. There's just nobody else with them. They're again, they were over here playing Britney Spears and so I'm gonna leave this one once again. What do you guys think about this one? Um, if you have used with these type of tape recorders, maybe you have something you might know that I don't. That might be able to explain why she heard, or not heard, but caught these voices on tape. Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've owned several Woody dolls, and we've never actually. I mean, not myself. But we've had some toys. Well, my girls' toys that go off at night sometimes, but we never actually stop and think about like what is it or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Still freaky nonetheless. Still pretty freaky nonetheless. And this is the part where you, the viewers and or listeners, let me know if you guys have ever experienced something like this. Have you been spooked by a Toy Story before, or any doll for that matter? And have you guys ever caught anything on recordings, whether on your phone or that old tape recorder that Cassandra was using, or just have you caught anything on video? I'm saying video because I would love to push somebody out there to actually send out some video. Um, but yeah, anyways, leave it in the comment section. What do you guys think about Cassandra Gonzalez's story here? If anybody out there can relate to it, or if her friend just so happens to be listening and wants to, I don't know, give her side, her end of the story. that would be interesting too. But let's move right on to, well, actually, I think right now would be a good time to give out my second story, and then give out the next one, and then mine again, and then the cherry on top, guys. This will be the cherry on top. This at the I'm gonna say my story next. This one, this in particular is the first time I ever dabbled in the Ouija board. This was I was a teenager at this point. I was at least maybe around 13, 14, 15 years old, around there. And this was at a friend's house close by my parents. I'm gonna call. I was maybe three of us, four including me. We'll call these other three people C, M, and E. C, M, and E. M would be the girl. Uh, just live right couple like a block or two down my parents' house, and this was around the evening when we started playing. And I remember this Ouija board was a glow in the dark Ouija board. This is one of those Ouija boards that you can buy like at like a Target or Walmart or something. And she pulled it out and was like, "Hey, you guys want to play this? You want to try this out? Whatever, whatever." We're like, sure, why not? Why not, right? Me thinking like it's glow in the dark, right? Like it didn't look like there's no book of evil or something like that. You know what I mean? It was not made of human flesh. It was not written in blood. It's a foldable cardboard that glows in the fucking dark. That's what I'm thinking. Like yeah, whatever. Like what can happen, right? What can happen? And so we opened it up, took out the planchette. Uh, we all four of us, put our. We have to put the two fingers like so on the palette or chalet. I don't even remember what it's called anymore. So we all have our fingers, and just like how any Ouija board story goes, the thing starts to move. And I later find out that apparently there's a word that they use for when people are playing the Ouija board and they have their hands on it and the things start moving. And I can't remember the word, but basically it's when somebody is actually self-consciously moving, but because it's in a group, it kind of plays this trick on your mind, and one of you amongst you is actually doing the movement, or more than one of you. But once again, it's all just your mind. Your mind's very powerful. It's capable of just tricking you in so many ways. But anyways, the thing starts moving. I don't remember exactly what we were asking. I don't think I even asked it anything. I was just kind of like playing along and watching. Um, I was a skeptic, right? I was a skeptic. Like I said, it was a piece of foldable cardboard that glow in the dark. I'm like, big whoop, right? So we're playing it and it's answering questions. Once again, it's been quite a while. I don't remember the questions that were being asked. Like I was just kind of just there. I was just there. So they're playing, and my hands on the palette. We're playing whatever, giggling, laughing, and like I said, I don't remember what the questions were. I don't remember what the answers were correct or not. And so, we play the game, blah blah blah. We say goodbye. By the way, if you guys ever do play the Ouija board, you gotta say goodbye. That's the rule, or you die. Quite possibly, literally. So do that. So we say goodbye, and we were playing for a good while. Like I said, it was already in the evening when we started playing. So by the time we were done, it was already night out. So again, it's the house of my friend is like walking distance. Um, the two of the other friends stay behind at Am's house. So like, okay, well, I'm gonna head home, whatever. So as I'm walking out, it like I said, it's already dark. I'm walking towards my parents' house. Again, it's dark, and as I'm walking, there's not a lot of noise outside. Again, it's night. Everybody's settling in. Everyone's uh, you know, getting ready to just chill, go to bed, right? So there's not a lot going on. It's kind of quiet. Little bit of breeze here and there. Which out of the blue, I hear a piano playing. Just a random piano, just playing out from I don't know where. I couldn't tell if it was coming from this house or this other. To paint a picture, it's I was walking out a friend's house. There's like about one, two, three houses, and on this right hand side is one, two houses. I couldn't pinpoint which direction it was coming from, and I'm familiar with everybody that lived around there. Um, and as far as like musicians go, those guys lived on the opposite side of my parents' house, way too far to be able to hear the piano as clear as I did. And at some point, I was even thinking to myself, like, is this coming from out here, or is this like, or what? I could at some point I couldn't even figure out exactly where where this piano was playing from, because like I said, I'm familiar with the neighbors, and I mean, I didn't know anybody who played really anything around that little section, because more towards the right side, the road continued into like this dead end where like another dozen houses were located, but it was coming more around my perimeter. And I'm just staring out into the dark, like, what the fuck, man? And so, I'm walking, and my walking slowly starts into a little bit of just like pacing at this point. But then the piano starts getting just a tad bit louder. And I am so glad that I don't remember what the piano was playing. Because I think once it started getting louder, at that point I'm just like, the closer I got to my parents' house, the closer I got, the faster I would actually start running. At some point, I started running, and I just like, what the fuck was that? So I go home, I pick up the phone, and I call my friends. I call M, who's still with these other two friends, and I'm like, and I explained to them what happened, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I'm telling you, there was a piano playing pretty much all around me. There was like I couldn't tell where it was coming from." Uh, the old Am's older sister overheard, and she's like, "Dude, what the fuck did you guys do?" And I mean, it kind of just ends like that. Um, Gladly, I ended up going home, and there was no reason for me to go back outside, right? Slept it off. I was fine. That pretty much ends that, but I never quite figured out where that goddamn piano was coming from. But like I said, it went from light to loud to louder. It eventually ended up just kind of fading away. And I think it only faded away is because I started running. It was like literally like running away from the noise, if that makes any sense. Like if I would have like not have run, I feel like the piano would almost have been playing in my head. That makes any sense. But that is my second story. that one's that one I couldn't I couldn't explain, and I've tried thinking of like what could have that been. I'm like, but like I mentioned, I was very familiar with everybody that lived around there. So it's like, I don't know. And the fact that it just kept getting louder and it kept sounding like it was just coming from everywhere, which was the weirdest thing. And it just came louder and louder. I'm like, nope. Run, 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 run. Freaking road runner my ass home, dude. All right. That was my story. That was my second story. Now, let's move on to the next story. The next story is actually from my wife herself. We call this one the doppelganger. This one's freaky because it involves me, but it also involves me. I'm gonna let the wife, read this one once again. Let's go.
A lot of creepy things happen at my parents' house. Knocks on the door with nobody there, the radio turning on by itself, voices coming from empty rooms. But one of the creepiest things that happened to me was when I was 15 years old. It was a pretty typical day. My boyfriend, now husband, came over in the afternoon, and once it started getting late, he left. I watched him drive off and went straight into my room. After a while, I heard tapping on my window. A tap I quickly recognized. I went a peek, and there he was, my boyfriend, standing there, signaling me to go outside. I told him to wait and ran to get my phone. I remember calling him and asking him what he was doing outside my window. He was completely confused. He said he was home. I wasn't buying it. I literally just saw him there. After a few exchanges, he goes, "Look, say hi." And his mom's voice comes to the phone. He was 100% home, so who the hell was at my window? I grabbed a pillow and a blanket and went straight to my brother's room. I asked if I could bunk there for the night, and I must have looked scared as fuck because he immediately said yes with no hesitation. I don't know what or who I saw at my window, but I was not gonna stay there and risk them tapping again.
Freaky, freaky stuff. You hear doppelganger stories, but not like this, dude. Not like this. You like, for instance, my brother-in-law actually says that saw me he saw me in a picture hugging some guy at a bar somewhere, a bar that I've never been to. And I think he manages to find this picture because I think he was like friends with the person who posted the picture, something like that. And sure enough, he showed me the picture, and the guy looked slightly more older than me, but you look pretty close, look pretty damn close. And I'm like, wow, that is a doppelganger. And I've heard stories about actually meeting your doppelganger. There are stories that say that you shouldn't meet your doppelganger because it could bring some sort of bad juju of some sort. And then there's the other stories where some people believe that meeting your doppelganger, it's like, well, to be honest, I don't even remember what the good part is. It's always the juicy stuff that really seems to stick, doesn't it? It's kind of like learning a new language, and the first thing you want to know are the bad words, kind of like that. Um, but that's nuts. I don't really have a good explanation for that one, other than I don't know, man, like an actually good explanation, like just an actual doppelganger who just so happens to have been stalking uh my girlfriend at the time, who fixed himself up to look exactly like me. I mean, I don't know. There's really like this. I can't really think of a really good explanation for this one. The other hand is that there was something much more sinister outside of my girlfriend at the time's window, mimicked me to try to lure her out of the house. It's a good thing that she did not proceed to go about her leaving the house. I mean, a good thing that she actually called first, because who knows what could have happened. Who knows what could have happened, man? You never know. You just don't know. You don't know. Yeah, it's totally a freaky one. It's a freaky one at that. Leave it in the comments section. What do you guys think about that one? Has anybody out there ever encountered a doppelganger? And have you ever encountered a doppelganger in this kind of way? Leave it in the comment section down below if you have, or if you know anybody who has had something similar happen to them. Or just let me know, how scared are you from listening to this story? All right. Let's move on to the second to last story. The second to last one will be mine. But like I said, this one is not technically fully mine. I just was around for this one. This happened, I mean, to my brother-in-law. And apparently my brother-in-law is actually notoriously known for having stuff like this happen to him. So what happened was, we were at some sort of family gathering at my in-laws, and I don't remember what holiday it was or what it was exactly, but I do remember it was a bunch of us hanging out in my in-laws' backyard. After we were done with the festivities, everybody's walking into the inside of the house. Me and my brother-in-law are left behind to make sure everyone's got their stuff or whatever. And for some reason, he goes right back after, like, we're about to go in, and I follow along, and he's staring at my in-laws' neighbors' house. You're looking at the house in front of you, right side neighbors. He pulls out his phone and takes a picture of the fence of my in-laws' fence facing the neighbors, not like directly, but from a distance, and opens up the picture, and he's looking at it, and he's staring at this picture like with these eyes, like he's like zooming in and like moving it around and stuff. And he's like, "Do you see this?" And he shows me the picture. I wish I had the picture on me, but yeah, he shows me the picture, and I see in the picture was about 3 to 4 heads peeking out into my in-laws' backyard. And these heads were like animalistic heads. It was like a dog, a goat, and something else. It was kind of hard to tell, but there was a few that you were able to see. There's some even had like ears, pointy ears, and horns, all in a line, peeking towards my in-laws' backyard, kind of almost facing towards the camera, towards the picture. And I was just like, what the shit? And long story short, because again, I was not there. I was there for the picture taking. I wasn't there for what my brother-in-law did. So to kind of long story short, he has this priest friend that he talks to, and he showed the picture to this priest. And my brother-in-law had questions like, "What is this? Blah blah blah, this and that." Priest replies, "Well, obviously, there is something demonic happening in this picture." And he goes, "But there's something demonic happening in the other house, not your parents' house. And he goes that if there's any cleansing that needs to be done, it has to be done on their property. So that's messed up. The fact that there was an actual visual this time, I actually saw these goddamn heads peeking. And again, I wish I had the picture on me. But it was messed up. Like clear as day, heads peeking out of the fence. Clear as day, guys. Like, I know it's not a very long and very descriptive story, but it's one of those stories where you had to have been there to see this picture. And again, I probably should have done a little bit of more work and try to get my hands on this picture. If that picture even still exists in my brother-in-law's phone. I'm kidding. But anyways, that's like the closest I have ever been to something along the lines of demonic entities. Pretty. I mean, my story before was pretty somewhere around that ballpark, but this one was like it was literally like it was there. It was right fucking there, guys. Leave it in the comments in the video podcast. What do you guys think about this one? Have you guys ever caught anything on photo and or video? Again, trying to push out if you guys want to keep sending these stories, I am pushing some video. Why? Because visual proof is 100% proof. I just made that up. Copyright Raymond, Booze and Chill. Video proof is 100 proof because you can see it. It's there. You just have it. You have it. You have it by the balls, guys. But anyways, let me know in the comment box, in the comment section on the video podcast. What do you guys think about that one? Now, let's finish this off with the last story for today's episode. This last story, once again, sent by an anonymous sender. This one is by far the worst story, the true life exorcist story. I'm not talking like the possessions and stuff like that. Oh, I'm not talking that high level, because if it were, I don't think we would have gone that story. I mean, if you guys have seen The Exorcist, you know how it ends. But it's pretty damn, it's terrifying. This one is terrifying. So one last time, I'm gonna give this to the wife. Once again, this one we called it The Exorcist.
Growing up, I watched a lot of horror movies with my older brother. None of them really scared me, except The Exorcist. One night, I was sitting in bed watching TV when all of a sudden my bed started to shake, just like in the movie. I sat there in panic, and seconds after, my brother popped out from under the bed, laughing his ass off. I was used to the pranks, so I was a good sport about it and just laughed it off. The following day, we were in his room when again, the bed started to shake while I was sitting on it. My brother froze for a second and told me to get off. I continued to sit there completely unfazed and said, "Whatever, you did this to me yesterday." He looked at me dead serious and yelled, "You idiot, we're home alone." I jumped out of the bed and watched it shake violently, just like in the movie. Then my brother screamed all sorts of profanity while punching the bed and telling whatever was present to go away. Suddenly, it stopped, and we got out of that room so fast. Neither of us could explain what happened that day, but it's a memory that forever lives in my head.
Well, that doesn't get any more terrifying, doesn't it? I want to give a good explanation about the bed shake. I mean, top of my head, electric beds, but those things are only capable of moving up and down from both ends. I've never heard of a malfunctioning massage electrical bed going completely mad. Never heard of that. Um the first part of the story, the pranking, it's like okay, and then it happened again, and it's just like you just become the boy who cried exorcist. But then it actually happens. That's when that's when shit hits the fan, metaphorically and literally, because I think anybody at that point would just shit their pants. And if there's a fan above that bed, then that shit hitting fan, you know what I'm talking about. So as far as trying to explain logically what it could have been, I mean, unless they replaced the mattress for what do they call it, a mechanical bull, then I mean I really don't have anything for that. And then on the other much more sinister end, once again we're talking real life exorcist shit. Something much more sinister, something much more evil that was just underneath the bed, shaking it violently. The real life boogeyman hanging under the bed, shaking it violently to scare both the anonymous sender and the anonymous sender's brother. I mean, it doesn't get any much more fucked up than that. And I think this is the best way to end today's special episode of the video/audio podcast of the Booze and Chill Buzzcast podcast. I was almost a little bit serious after that story, man. I kind of don't even feel like doing the way I say podcasts, because I'm not trying to set no mood or anything. It's just it makes you think. It makes you think. And I think that's how we're gonna end this one, guys. I want to thank everybody once again who took the time to send in their stories. Uh, my my good vibes to that last story, to that last sender. My good vibes to the children's story with the sister with the cancer. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. Hope you guys are doing awesome. And yeah, this was a good one, guys. This is a very, very good, juicy one. And once again, before we do end this, if you guys want to hear more stories, these all of these weren't mine. Mine were only 3. One of them wasn't even technically mine. So if you guys enjoyed today's true encounter, scary encounter stories, real encounter stories from you guys, the subscribers, the followers, the audience, if you guys want to hear some more, let me know in the comments section down below. Keep sending them in. If we can get some more to fill up another one, we can do that. If we don't, once again, we can maybe do like a segment. We can do that as well. While it's still October, guys, let's keep this going. Once again, if you do enjoy this, please hit the like button on the video podcast on YouTube. Subscribe if you got really into this. If you got scared, leave a like if you got scared, or leave a comment down below if you got scared. And hit that bell notification for the next upcoming video live. And yeah, don't forget to follow all of Booze and Chill social medias, and follow Booze and Chill on Spotify. Give me a thumbs up and give me a good review. For this one, I think I deserve a good review. Not so much me, but for all the people who made this episode happen. We got to give a thumbs up to those people. Thank you to those people. Thank you for watching, for sticking around for this entire thing. And that is it for that, guys. For more Booze and Chill, for more Buzzcast podcast, head on to Patreon/Booze and Chill. Get early releases, exclusive content, behind the scenes, making of, all that juicy stuff. Tiers start at only $3. And that is all I got for you guys today. And I will catch you guys in the next episode, the next Booze and Chill podcast episode, the next coming live, which is actually tomorrow. I will see you guys there. And yeah, remember, if you keep watching, I'm gonna keep drinking. Catch you guys later.